Hello YouTube, long time no see. Um, it's about time I did another video to help you to liberate your minds. Apologies, I've been quite quiet. It's simply because with all the teaching I'm doing of other coaches and therapists, it takes a lot of prep time and I get a lot of questions in between sessions. So as I get busier, it's difficult to make the time. However, I would like to make the time. And it is a difficult time for people at the moment. With so much going on in the world, the um, the stress of the cost of living going up. Obviously, it's the school holidays at the moment. You've got some crazy things going on around the world that obviously are making people a bit concerned. I mean, the first tip would be to turn off the news, never watch the news. And don't get me wrong, I know what's going on. I just don't need to watch it through that particular medium because that medium is very, don't even get me started on that. But the point is, what would be the most helpful thing I could be talking about today? Well, I want to tell you something that I probably mentioned before, but I think it never really, you can never really say it enough. So as your stress levels go up, which is what's happening at the moment, all of the unconscious patterns that are already there will be magnified, right? And this is what we saw during the first lockdown, where people were put into a situation where they were in a confined space with people they didn't really spend a lot of time with before. The stress levels were amplified. And then suddenly people were triggering each other and all the rest of it. And it started to come up. And you could have gone two ways with that. You could have either then sort of faced those things in whatever way made sense to you, or you would just project and blame and usually break up with. There were more breakups during that period and after that period than I've ever seen all at once. And obviously I got a lot of the fallout of that, and so did some of the therapists that I supervise. So that was interesting. But the point I'm trying to make is the pressure actually isn't getting better. It's going up because everything is getting squeezed at the moment. And have you ever wondered why, you keep making the wrong decision about who you get up in a relationship with? Are you ever wondered why you keep getting triggered by a particular person and you promise yourself that next time you're not going to rise to the bait, but whenever it happens, you're right there again, kicking yourself that you fell for it again? Is there something that you really want to do, but every time you get close to doing it, you pull out at the last minute? Are you someone that struggles to make decisions and you're second guessing yourself, or you're kind of going to and from all the time in that kind of, I really want to, but I'm not really sure? You can't make decisions. You can't plan very easily. All of these things are a surface level symptom of the unconscious patterns and programs that are there. And, the problem with society is at the moment, we try and normalize these patterns and we put trigger warnings on things and we try and make sure that we're not upsetting anyone. And there's this cancel culture thing going on now where you cannot say just anything that you believe, even if it goes against, even if it goes against the establishment or the, whatever the narrative is, the woke thing, then you get cancelled, you get removed, you get penalized, you get set upon by all the, people on that bandwagon. And the problem with it is, it's almost like people feel the need to identify themselves with all these different labels and own their problems and normalize them and almost celebrate them and defend their right to express that they have this issue and all the rest of it. And it's such a shame because, when you're kind of looking at it from my vantage point, you're kind of thinking of it as, glorifying or kind of making it into something that, it's not in any way beneficial to you or to anybody else. And a lot of these things can be resolved so easily, in weeks, sometimes one session if it's the right thing. So I suppose my advice to you today is to not put it off, because, things are going to get worse before they get better. And, I'm a very positive person, very positive outlook. Some people would say probably too positive in some regards. But the point I'm trying to make is I am a realist when it comes to where we're at and where we're going and how we're going to get there. And at the moment, I would say that the pressure is going to go up and the stress levels are going to go up with it. And if there are things that you're not dealing with, they're going to get magnified, and to the point where, you may have been able to keep it in check with one of your many coping mechanisms, whether that's having a glass of wine in the evening, or it's, having some ice cream, or smoking that cigarette, or whatever it might be. But that's not going to cut it, because the more it goes up, the more of that you're going to need. And the problem with those things, again, is they cause other issues. Like, there are side effects, right? If you eat a lot of ice cream, you're going to put on a lot of weight, which is going to affect your confidence and your self-esteem. Drinking alcohol takes its toll. You do have a hangover. The older you get, the more of a hit that takes on your body. It means you're not getting good quality sleep. So you might drink it to try and knock you out, but then the quality of your sleep isn't great. You're not getting any deep sleep, so you wake up in worse shape, and then you have to take more of it. So, same with pornography and all the other things that people use to try and, keep going. But with the amount of money that you spend on these things, and the knock-on effect of all the things that they cause, would it not be better to face these things? Because when you think about what a coping mechanism is, really, it's just a means that will keep whatever the unconscious root cause going indefinitely. Because it's not resolving it, it's just taking the edge off it enough for you to keep going. So it will keep going indefinitely unless you face it. So the reality is, there's only one way to resolve this, and that's to go through. It's to go into and out the other side. On the other side of your fears or your insecurities is the life you've always wanted. And it sounds like such a cliche, but I see it every single day. And I'll tell you something else. People literally look different on the other side of it. You will see the life, the sparkle, the kind of soul return to the eyes, and they're sort of looking at you and they're literally shining and beaming, and you're just like, who are you? Like, this is a very different person. A lot of the wrinkles actually disappear. I'm actually currently studying face reading, Chinese medicine face reading, and it's amazing stuff. What you can tell about a person, you can read a person from the lines and things on their face. Fascinating stuff. But those things change as you resolve the things that are driving them. So, you will look younger. You will look more alive and vibrant. You will have that vitality back. You will make better decisions about who you get into relationships with, and you won't be attracting the same kind of people. Have you ever heard someone saying, why do I always seem to attract the wrong kind of people? It's because you've got trauma going on, and that trauma tends to attract. Even if you're not saying a single word to a person and you're sat in the same room as them, your unconscious minds are talking and communicating. And, we tend to attract the same kind of trauma that we have in ourselves. So the other thing I would say is a lot of people, they try and work harder out here to try and solve their problems. You will get somebody that has a low self-esteem and a belief that they're not good enough. And they're trying to prove that they are by doing external goals and, achieving things. But it doesn't matter how much money they earn, what job title they end up having, how big their house is, and all the other things that they may have on their mantelpiece. It doesn't help, because a part of them, that unconscious part will still believe they're not good enough. And so they keep doing it and they tend to burn out because they can't stop. Those are the kind of people that when you say, have a holiday, they're just like, no, I can't. I've got to keep going. They can't stop, because when they stop, the thoughts and the feelings come back, right? Work is just another coping mechanism for some people. And again, it's really sad to see, because most of their stuff could be sorted out fairly quickly. You don't have to suffer. So I will keep banging my drum and saying this message as often as I can, because I just don't think people get it. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not patronizing people, and I know it's difficult, because it takes guts to face your fears and your insecurities. And the older you get, the more ingrained it is, and the longer it's been there. And some people think that because it's been there for a long time, it's going to take a long time to sort out. Not really. Like, it can actually take, as I said, weeks. It's just because it's been there a long time. So if you think about it as you've been running a pattern, it's a bit like a chain that goes all the way back for a long time. The pattern itself is just a little loop. So if we collapse the loop, it stops now, and it stops quickly, So I suppose I've made my point. But all I would say is life externally is going to get tougher before it gets better. I absolutely believe with every cell in my body that it will get better. But I think there needs to be a major shake-up and a lot of collapsing that happens. Sometimes you need to collapse and start again from scratch. And I think we're very close to that right now. And although that might sound scary to some people, we've done it before, we'll do it again, and I think we'll do it better this time, because we've learned from previous things. That's what happens. And I think there's enough of us now that are awake enough to kind of help with that process. I digress. The point I'm trying to make is it will get harder, and it will be harder for you to get through that rebuild and that collapse first if you haven't dealt with your stuff, because that stuff is going to put you into the part of your brain where you are in survival mode. You will not be able to see things as they are. You will see things from the worst case perspective. You will ruminate on those things. You will be on edge and not able to relax, and that will affect your health, because your immune system will switch off, your digestive system will switch off, your reproductive system will switch off. I have to help people try and conceive because their body's so stressed out that their body's like, you're not having a baby, Again, that's another thing. So you might spend thousands and thousands of pounds on fertility treatments, but if you're not dealing with the root cause, then your body's not going to get pregnant. It's that simple. Stress also switches off the production of your hormones. So, for men, it affects performance. For women, it affects periods or ovulation. These things are important. If you're a man and you're stressed out, you will really struggle to put on muscle. You will struggle to make testosterone, right? And that will affect you. So again, a lot of people wear stress as like a badge of honor, but actually it's not smart, because, you might be good at surviving. And I get a lot of clients that say they literally feel like they're surviving their life. You don't have to survive, and when you get it done and you really feel the difference, and a lot of people said, I had no idea I could feel this good, then they start kicking themselves that they didn't do it before a long time ago. Anyway, it is going to get harder, but it's going to get better. But to get through the next bit, get your stuff done so you'll be in the most resourceful state. So you'll stay logical, you'll stay rational, you'll stay solution focused, you will have the strength, your immune system will be at full, and you'll be able to handle what comes next. Okay? And, if you need to get a therapist that can help you with that, I am here, right? And I have a network of therapists that I have trained in my Mind Reboot process, which will help you to get rid of all of your trauma, all of your protective mechanisms like anxious states, depressive states, procrastination. It will help you to get rid of the emotional triggers, the way that you get triggered by people with anger and sadness and guilt and fear and all the rest of these things. It will help you to get rid of any limiting beliefs you have about yourself that impact your self-esteem, so that you can then feel confident about who you are and not live your life worrying about what everybody else thinks of you. You won't care what anyone else thinks of you because you will feel like you know who you are for the first time in your life. You will be living your best life. And my word, seeing people thrive after that. And don't take my word for it. Look at my Google page. There is almost 100 now reviews on Google. There's almost 200 reviews, 5-star reviews of people all saying the same thing. It's not because I'm so good. I'm not doing it. They're doing it. I'm training them on how to heal themselves and how to thrive and be the best version of themselves. If that sounds good to you, get in touch. And if I'm busy, I can refer you to one of the people I train up. Everyone can do this. I hope that's been helpful. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.